My name's Samantha. I'm coming up on 5 years of recovery in September. God was always kind of present in my life, even whenever I was really young. I always knew that He was there. I always knew that that He was real. But I didn't know, even into my teenage years, I got baptized when I was 15, but I didn't know what to do with any of that information or how to live that out in real life. So I did things that kind of came naturally, I guess, which took me into my first experience with addictive behaviors like self-harm and codependent relationship. And then as I got into my 20s, I started experimenting with drugs and drinking a lot. And then I got a DWI and things kind of just went downhill from there. And instead of taking that experience and turning things around, I kind of just decided to go downhill even more. So I started using harder drugs. And I got sober for a little while, and then I kind of got caught back up in, addiction, using things that are legal and easy to get, like kratom and stuff like that, which was a terrible year and a half. And then I hit rock bottom whenever I had to sign guardianship of my son over to my parents. And around that time, life had become so miserable. I was living on the side of a river just so that I could continue getting drunk and high. And I chose that over living in a house with my family because that's how much of a hold addiction had on me at the time. And I would lay on the rocks, sunburnt, covered in poison ivy, just begging God to end it. And then whenever I had to sign guardianship of Connor to my parents, that was the moment that I realized that death was not an option. And if I wasn't going to die, then I was going to have to live, and I knew that I couldn't live halfway, that I had to live a real life, a meaningful life, a life that I dreamed of, and I had to find a way to make that happen. So I went home and got some sleep, ate some sandwiches, started just trying to do things that normal people do, and getting up in the morning, and I went for a walk one day. And at this point in my life, I just felt like I was the just worthless human being, scum of the earth, and that the world would be a better place without me. I had felt that way for a long time. And I'm walking down this road knowing that I have to find a way to figure this out. So I started praying, and I told God, my exact words to God were, I have no idea how to get out of this mess. I don't know right from wrong. I don't know up from down. I can't do any of this. There's no way I'm going to make it out of this the right way. I can't do it. I'm not capable at this point. And as crazy as it sounds, in that moment, this hawk flew overhead, and I saw its shadow on the ground, and it directed me to look up. And that was God just in that same moment telling me that I didn't have to know which way up was, that He would direct me, that He would tell me, He would show me. And that was the kind of clear, straightforward message I needed from Him in that moment, and He provided it. And I walked home, and within the hour I was on the phone with Burl calling to get an inpatient, which was a difficult task. It wasn't easy. It took time and consistency, which was hard to do. And I was making progress. I was probably sober half the time, and which was a big deal for me then. And I finally get into inpatient, and while I'm there, people keep telling me, you should consider sober living. It would be a really good option for you. And I'd say, there's no way I'm going to do that. I got this plan mapped out. I can be home 50% of the time. That's what I'm going to do. The other 50% of the time, I'm going to live in my car, and that's my plan. That's what I'm going to do, and it's going to be awesome. And 3 days before I left inpatient, this guy, I wish I could remember his name, he told me about this program that he went to for over a year, and that it changed his life. And I said, you know what, that's a good idea. Maybe I should do that. And so I asked for a very specific application, I won't say which one. And Logan, the caseworker there at the time, brought me 2 applications, and one of them was for Higher Ground. And I looked through the handbook and I said, I'm going to give this a shot. This is a lot. There's a lot of rules, and I'm not used to any rules. I lived on a river to avoid rules or anyone telling me what to do ever. And going from that to so much structure seemed almost impossible at the time, but I knew I had to do it. So I walked in. I walked up to the house, Higher Ground Recovery House, and the old house manager there, Lisa, she opened the door and she said, "Welcome home." And I knew this was my home now. And I was scared to death, and it took me months just to get comfortable being there. It took me, I think, 3 months, and I was still telling Jill, I don't know how I'm going to keep doing this, you know? And for a year and a half, it was Monday night house meeting, Tuesday night group, Wednesday night Bible study, Thursday night, Friday night house meeting, Sunday go to church, and taking trips to Marshfield as often as I could just to see Connor. And feeling tired, getting up at 6 a.m. every morning and working at a spice plant at the time. And it was tough, but that lifestyle, living that way and enduring that kind of schedule for a year and a half really prepared me for the life that I have now. And it showed me that I can handle more than I think I can handle, and that doing things like this is actually so much easier than laying on the side of that river wishing I was dead every day. And now I have all this purpose in my life. I have a reason to get out of bed, and I'm happy to wake up in the morning. And now I've been working at Higher Ground for a while. I got my own apartment in 2022, March of 2022. Connor moved in with me that August. We still live in that apartment, and it has become kind of like a sanctuary for me. It's just a safe place that's mine and Connor's, and we've been flourishing there. And now, you know, since I was able to get my life back together, Connor is flourishing in so many ways, and he's doing so great with his life, and knowing that my efforts impacted him in that positive way is more than I ever thought I was capable of. And now I'm almost done with my bachelor's program, which is a commitment I never thought I could handle, and it hasn't been easy working full time and going to school and having Connor. But I've done it, and every day when I wake up and I think, I don't know how I'm going to get through this day, I have a verse sitting on my dresser, this little framed picture that Lisa gave me that says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I know that that's true. And I know that I don't have to rely on myself to do these things anymore, because God along the way has given me the ability. When I thought my heart was going to take me other places, He made my heart take me where He wanted it to go, where He needed me to be. And another verse that has been really meaningful to me is when Jesus said, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And nothing about the last 5 years has been super easy. All of it has been work, but all of it has been such a blessing compared to what the world had to offer. And doing things God's way is so much better than any other way that there is. And I'm very thankful for the opportunity that I've been given. So the church Coming to Wednesday night Bible study and Sunday church, standing there in worship, those moments with God were so powerful to me. And there was a song that we used to sing, The Blessing, and I remember, and even to this day, that song is so meaningful to me. And, you know, my church family, multiple different people, Pastor Mike Rogers, Pastor Mike Williams, Lisa, Pastor Tammy, Josh and Stephanie, Addie, all of these, Christina's taught me a lot about myself over the years, and I'm very thankful for this family. And one of my biggest fears when I left Sober Living was, how am I going to stay connected to the church? Because I know me, and I'm lazy, and the first opportunity I get, I'll drop off. And it was about that time I started doing kids ministry, which is a huge privilege. And it's given me an opportunity to devote myself to something, to pour into kids who I get along with pretty well. And it's helped me stay connected to this family. And the church has blessed me tremendously throughout the years in various different ways. Some of them are just provided for my needs. And so it's good to be able to give back to the church in a way that is beneficial and meaningful. And I think that's probably one of the best parts. It gives me a peace. Knowing that I'm giving back gives me a sense of peace, that I'm doing something meaningful, something bigger than myself. And one thing that I learned early on when I came to this church is I had been to several other churches in the past, and one of the thoughts that I always had was, do these people really believe what they're saying? And I remember sitting in service thinking, if I find out that they don't really feel the way they say that they feel, if I find out this is a sham, I'm going to be devastated. And this church has taught me that it is real. It is real to them, and it shows. It shows in the different things that they do. It shows in their dedication and their commitment. And knowing that they have more faith in God than I do is constantly reassuring, to know that I'm in an environment with people who are always going to give me advice or tools or whatever it is to keep pushing forward in a relationship with God.